What's new in visual controls? We have 8 new visual controls for the Build 900 update outlined in this video. They are Argus Navigator, Argus Tables, Argus Linear Gauge Type 1, Argus Linear Gauge Type 2, Argus Panels, Argus Indicators, Argus Proportional Control, and Argus Digital Control. The new visual controls design was implemented with the user experience in mind. We wanted to eliminate information clutter and provide user-friendly interactive data and information. Now we display only the parts of the screen that are important to the people using the system. Indicators let you know if your system is functioning correctly, while alerts let you know if your system needs attention. There's an improved use of colors and using color consistency. We've avoided unnecessary distracting animations, decluttered all screens, and improved fundamental screen styling. The home screen has been changed to better allow users to get the information that they need and to declutter as much as possible. It is still fully customizable to suit all of our customers' needs. Previously, it was easy to have the home screen fill up with the various shortcuts and programs required over time to monitor and configure your system. These new controls should not interfere with your existing screens or parameters, so there's very little initial adjustment to the new layout. These visual controls include Argus Navigator, Argus Tables, Argus Linear Gauge Type 1, Argus Linear Gauge Type 2, Argus Panels, Argus Indicators, Argus Proportional Control, and Argus Digital Control. It's important to note that many of the new features require you to select the Screen Design tab first to turn on Screen Design mode, allowing you to make changes or create controls. Once in Screen Design mode, you can also edit any of the existing controls. To edit a visual control, there's an editing handle at the bottom right side of all visual controls when the control is in edit mode. To enable edit mode, you must select the Screen Design tab, then click the Edit button. The toolbar for the control is now visible. Now you're in control editing mode, and the editing handle for all visual controls is visible. Clicking an editing handle highlights that control and is moved by dragging anywhere on the control or resizing it by dragging on the resizing squares of the control. The Argus Navigator is a radial dial where you can perform many of the different menu actions. You can click on the Argus Navigator to bring up a radial circle populated by shortcuts you create. It allows you to configure and navigate to various areas of the system, much like the right-click menu. The Argus Navigator defaults to a closed state and does not take up a lot of screen space. Select Screen Designer tab. Click the Edit Control button. Click the Argus Navigator icon. Left-click the screen to draw the control. Select a name and window position. Click to browse and add parameters to the Argus Navigator. Follow the browse instructions and select entries for the Argus Navigator. To add sub-level entries, select an already added entry and click it to add a new entry below that one. When finished adding entries, right-click and select Finish Browsing for visual control parameters. To use the new Navigator, uncheck Edit Controls and click the Navigator to open it. The Argus table is used to display data values in tabular view. The width of each column is evenly divided by the width of the table. If the height of the control is less than the embedded table's height, the control is resized to the height of the table. If in screen editing mode, you can click on the caption bar of the control to select the control. In the selection mode, you can resize it by dragging the small squares or move the control by dragging the edge sections. The following property dialog is used to change the settings of this control. Click the Argus table icon. Left-click on the screen to draw the control. Enter a table name. Enter a window position and size. Check to add a row caption and add channels and rows to your table. Click to browse and add parameters to the Argus table. Follow the browse instructions and select entries to add to the Argus table. Right-click and select Click to add a new channel or column. Select New Channel, click to add a new cell or row. Select an empty cell. Keep adding columns and rows as required. Click Finish Browsing for visual control parameters to return to the dialog. The new table entries are listed in the Properties dialog. The Argus Linear Gauge Type 1 is used to display a view-only range for a specific value, such as a set point. Each bar has several sections indicating various alarm settings. Black pointers are for the set points, and the green is the current value pointer. The bar has various sections that correspond to the Properties dialog entries. Based on where the current value is, the top section displays either blank, alarm level, or other kinds of symbols. Each element inside the Argus Linear Gauge Type 1 is proportional to the size of the gauge. Click the Argus Linear Gauge Type 1 icon. Left-click on the screen to draw the control. Enter a name, visibility, window position and size, and range. Click to browse and add parameters to the Argus Linear Gauge Type 1. Follow the browse instructions and select entries to add to the gauge. Keep adding entries for the various parameters on the gauge. Click Finish Browsing for visual control parameters to return to the dialog. The Argus Linear Gauge Type 2 is used to display a proportional value from 1 to 100 and a set point value. The desired set point displays as a diamond. The Properties dialog is used to change the settings of this gauge. The label is fixed to the bottom side and can be hidden as well. You can link a value and the desired set point to the control. Along with the typical property settings, you can also change the progress bar and background color. The default colors are green and gray. Click the Argus Linear Gauge Type 2 icon. Left-click on the screen to draw the control. Enter a label, options, and window properties. Click to browse and add parameters to the Argus Linear Gauge Type 2. Follow the browse instructions and select entries to add to the gauge. Add a value and set point. Click Finish Browsing for visual control parameters to return to the dialog. An Argus panel is a container allowing you to place other elements inside of it. If in screen editing mode, click the edge of the panel to select it. You're able to resize it by dragging the small squares around the edge, or move the panel by dragging the edge sections. If the contents of the panel are outside the boundary of it, the shadow along the edge turns red instead of the usual dark gray. The Argus panel uses the new Windows Property dialog. Previously you could make a window or menu entry, and we've now added panel to that list. Click the Argus panel icon. Left-click on the screen to draw the control. Enter a label, options, and window properties. Click to add a reference to the Argus panel and other options. An Argus indicator is used to show the on and off state of a parameter. The left indicator is used for the off state, while the right indicator is used for the on state. Property dialog is used to change the settings of the control. The label can be hidden or docked to four sides of the control. The Browse System for Parameter button can be used to associate a cell to an element in the system. Click the Argus indicator icon. Left-click on the screen to draw the control. Enter a label, window position, and size. Click to browse and add parameters to the Argus indicator. Follow the browse instructions and select a value to add to the indicator. Add a value. Click Finish Browsing for visual control parameters to return to the dialog. An Argus proportional control is a two-button control type, auto and manual, used to present a percentage of a linked element. There are two available buttons, auto and manual. Selecting either changes the mode or the way the control is displayed. The Properties dialog is used to change the control settings. Click the Argus Proportional Control icon. Left-click on the screen to draw the control. Enter a label, window position and size, and layout. Click to browse and add parameters to the Argus Proportional Control. Follow the browse instructions and select entries to add to the control. Add a value, and manual or automatic. Once both parameters are entered, you're returned to the dialog. An Argus digital control is a 3-button type, auto, on, and off, used to present an on-off state of a linked element. If the control is in auto mode, the on-off state is always driven by the linked element. If the off button is pressed, the control is always off. If the on button is pressed, the control is always on. The Property dialog is used to change the settings of this control. Left-click on the screen to draw the control. Enter a label, window position and size, and layout. Click to browse and add parameters to the Argus digital control. Follow the browse instructions and select entries to add to the control. Add a value, and on-off automatic. Once both parameters are entered, you're returned to the dialog. For more information on these visual controls, see the Visual Control section of the online help. Thank you for watching the video today as we outline what's new in Build 900. For more information, contact Argus support.